What's up, everybody? My name's Trey, and welcome to another video. In a video all about what it takes to actually grow a digital marketing agency. If you don't know, this is the podcast for Diji Dive Agency, a full-service digital marketing agency that helps individuals, small businesses, and corporations make real passive income. The type of income in which you don't have to lift a finger for. Like the kind where you can retire your mom, you can buy a Corvette. I know it's not super fancy, but I like Corvettes. And you just don't have to do anything for it. So whether you're interested in lead generation, YouTube automation, Amazon FBA, Facebook dropshipping, and a number of different stuff that we've kind of figured out and we make some pretty good money from, feel free to click the first link in the description and schedule a call with the agency. See if you're a good fit to work with us. See if we're a good fit to work with you, because we don't work with everybody. Because believe it or not, making passive income is kind of difficult. So we have to make sure you're a good fit to work with us. In this video, we'll kind of just be talking about a number of different things. If you don't know, or if you haven't been here before, Percy is in charge of our sales department, making sure that everybody in that department is sound, profitable, making good deals. And we just brought on Mr. Howard to the agency. He's in charge of the content creation. He'll be in charge of making shorts, making TikToks, making all that good stuff, because Lord knows I know nothing about graphic design, but good thing we have John. So Percy, we have some pretty exciting news when it comes to one of your pitches. If you want to kind of fill everybody in what that kind of looks like, go ahead, my boy.
Yeah, so we're working on the lead gen websites, and we actually got a couple customers as far as lined up as prospects. We're not gonna call them customers yet; they're prospects, because you always gotta qualify your leads. So yeah, just kind of go into depth into like how I found these people and how I called them and how the process kind of worked. So we have an Excel sheet full of these locations that are qualified for cost per click, making sure everything lines up, make sure they have the right criteria, and then making some simple calls. That's all it really is. That's where you make the money. If you're not calling, then you're not making any money, especially for lead gen or any service-based business. I would say cold calling is one of the most efficient ways to find your potential leads, potential customers. It was pretty simple. I mean, I just kind of used ChatGPT to kind of help me build a little script, and then you modify the script to use certain sales techniques that kind of make you more human, to get into the pitch really quickly, get in and out, find out if they're interested or not, and that kind of gets you through the door. And then go from there. You ask some basic questions, and then you also qualify your potential prospect a little bit too, so it's not so direct, and they give them with a golden platter everything that we have to offer. You know what I mean? Yeah, they can't have all that. So we got a few things in the pipeline here coming through soon, just by using some basic sales techniques that you might want to know about.
Yeah, I think one thing that's really interesting is the fact that, so if you don't know, I'm completely hands off as of right now when it comes to sales. Like that's completely Percy. That's what Percy does. I basically made sure the website was good. Contractors were set up in a way that Percy could find them easily. And then he was actually leading the calls. He was closing the clients and doing things like that. And I remember when you called me, you're like, yo, man, I'm still in bed. I'm in my underwear over here making calls, making deals. Like, I think
That's
sales,
right.
if you are somebody that's really interested in kind of getting into entrepreneurship, sales is the way to go. Like, you can get paid a lot of money at sales at a company. Like, sure, you still have a job, and kind of the goal is to get out, start something yourself, make some passive income. But in terms of like getting the first few steps together of what it looks like to manage your own schedule, manage yourself, manage your time, being in sales is a skill that I think everybody should learn, because it pays you a lot and it can lead to a lot of other things, which is really cool.
100%. Like you said, I mean, I literally was in my bed making a few phone calls, like on my laptop, just looked up a few, couple niches and cities here and there, found their phone number, and then I just, put up the phone on speaker and said, "Hello, how you doing?" Here I
So
am.
how was it? How was it on the actual calls? Because essentially what we're doing, if you don't know, essentially we're just running like essentially lead generation for specific clients and specific niches that fit criterias. But like, did you get a lot of pushback when it came to them saying, no, we don't, we don't want to make more money. We don't want more clients and things like that?
Surprisingly, no. Like, and that's kind of coming with the script, the way you come about it. You kind of tell them already up front what you're doing, so that cuts a lot of time of them giving the no's, because everybody wants leads. Everybody needs leads. Every business. Not now. There's some businesses that are pretty busy and they're booked up, and you know what? That's part of the sales structure that I have is I ask that question. There's a
Yeah.
question that I make them kind of tell me a little bit. Are they already booked up? And if not, if they're not booked up, I already know they need more leads.
Right.
You know
Did
what
you
I
have
mean?
one? He was like, yeah, I mean, we'll take leads, but we're booked out for 8 months. You're like, well, okay, that's not going to help at all. So, like, what are
Yeah,
you talking about?
that's exactly what happened. He told me, yeah, I'm booked out 8 months. I'm like, so you wouldn't be able to help somebody like next week? He's like, oh, well, I didn't say that.
Oh, well,
I'm
I'll
like,
think about it.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, all right, well, all right, we'll see. He's like, yeah, well, it just depends on what kind of work. I'm like, all right, we'll get to that later. That's what I said.
Right.
Literally, I was like, we'll get to that later. Just right now, we're seeing if you're interested in getting some free leads, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. I think another thing is obviously qualifying the prospect them, but you have to understand, like, these are not all business owners are the same in terms of some business owners are perfectly happy servicing a few clients every single month, like just making enough money so they are their own boss. Like they're not trying to be uberly wealthy. They're not trying to hire out more employees and things. So some of the mom and pop places that you'll call, they'll be like, we don't really want more leads. Like we're busy as it is. Like we're making enough money. And sometimes it's just about finding the right business owner who has the kind of the same vision. I mean, obviously, with the agency, we want to scale, we want to make a ton of money, we want to help a lot of people, but you have to find business owners who also want to do that. Like, if they're kind of set in stone with, hey, we like the size that we are, make good money, we're not trying to work that much, probably not the right one to kind of send leads to because you want to grow with the business owner. And I think that's really important.
Right. No, and that's exactly right. I actually know a guy. He runs a body shop for all the Amazons. So, when an Amazon cargo van needs a part or needs something like that, it goes to him. But he doesn't want any more leads. Like I've asked him, like, why don't you put your business up on Google? And he's like, bro, I don't want people calling me. Like I'm already busy. He's already busy, too busy to take on more people, to take on more clients or more work, I guess you could say. So yeah, like you said, not everybody is a buyer, and you kind of have to use your sales techniques and ideas and questions and position them to kind of them tell you that, you know what I mean? Because like you said, not everybody's going to be a buyer, and then they shouldn't be a buyer.
And then another thing you'll kind of notice when it comes to like starting an agency or any type of business, it's really difficult on the front end. There's a lot of hours you have to put in to kind of build out, social medias, your brand, build out your content in which you're not actually making money for. And I think that's a lot of the problem that new people have kind of coming in, especially with like people on YouTube talking about drop shipping. You can make $1 million in a month. Everybody just expects that as soon as you start a business, you're going to make money immediately, which is not normally the case. We are kind of lucky in the sense that, we do e-commerce, we do drop shipping, we have lead generation, we have business models that you can make money fairly quickly compared to, buying a brick and mortar store and things like that. But I guess, John, how does that kind of differ from what you're doing from your full time, knowing that, basically making content, you don't really get paid to make content until we have a decently large channel. So just knowing that kind of switch of, hey, I'm going to be putting in a lot of hours to make content, edit videos and things, and not necessarily seeing that money come in right away. Like how did you kind of have to switch your mindset to kind of look at the long term compared to just like how much am I getting paid to make these videos and stuff like that?
I mean, really, when you want to, come to switch your mindset, you really want to look at the long-term goals. So that's the first things first. Not everything is going to be given to you right away. So that's with anything in life. So I'm a firm believer in just ensuring that the work that you put in is eventually going to pay off. So what you get in is what you'll get out of it. So if you put in the work, eventually that's going to come. So and again, that's with anything in life. So that's transition really isn't really a difficult transition for me to make just because of that simple mindset. Again, hard work is hard work regardless. No one can take away the hard work that you put in. So it's always gonna pay out eventually. So that's what I look forward to. Once I again start putting in that work, and eventually it'll come. It'll come. But it's all about perfecting the craft, learning little details here and there. And again, yeah. So definitely it'll come to show.
And also, this is Percy and John's kind of first time meeting each other. I went to college with John. I went to high school with Percy. Percy, if you didn't know, John was about, well, how much you weigh? About a buck 25,
About 130.
dripping
Yeah.
wet. Man,
Yep.
John was a little dude. John was a little dude. John put on, where did you get deployed at? And you put on like 50 pounds of muscle before you got back. Where were you at?
Yeah, I went to UAE. I was deployed in UAE, about 2 hours, probably about an hour away from Abu Dhabi. Another rich city, probably an hour away from Dubai, but right outside of Abu Dhabi. Was literally eating
And
eggs
just
and
lift.
probably
John got so
just
big.
lifting. So I only gained
Big guy.
there. I only gained 130 pounds, or excuse me, I weighed
My
130 there. I left. I weighed 170 when I left. I was there for 6 months, so I weighed 170.
my, my
Yeah,
boy
it
was
was
only eating eggs, bro. You only said I ate eggs,
Eggs,
eggs.
eggs.
I was
protein
probably eating
shakes.
eggs, potatoes, chicken. Like it was the same thing every day.
John made me want to be in the
Pancakes.
military. I thought they was giving them boys steroids. I was about to join.
And that, there was. I mean, there's nothing else to do. I mean, it's either
It's fact.
you're working it. You work 12-hour shifts. And then after work, it's like, all right, I get to lift. I got a couple
Okay.
hours left. Go to bed, wake up, do it all again.
Do you have PT up there
No,
while you were deployed?
no. So we did like we just had like intramural sports. You didn't have to do PT since we're already kind of actively working like a
Actively
I don't
deployed
know
or
active
whatever.
duty base. Yeah, so you don't have
Right.
necessarily have to deal with PT if you don't want to. But yeah, it was
That's
just something I just
That's
wanted to
nice.
do. I mean, there's not a really like again, there's not really a whole lot to do when you're deployed. So might as well try to improve yourself the best way you can. So that's what I tried to do.
That's right. Might as well
Yep.
get right.
Yep. So did that.
Then
Now I weigh the most. I'm almost at 200 now.
I mean, shit. You
baby.
either get you either get right or you get left. You know what I'm saying? Shit.
It's a
Yep.
fact.
Yep.
And also another thing that we're looking at, if anybody runs a successful side business, a successful side hustle, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. Love to see what everybody else is doing. And we're always looking to expand. Have one of my buddies coming on. He's doing Turo, making about 5,000-6,000 a month on his Corvette on Turo. And I kind of talked to him and I was like, hey, like I run a digital marketing agency. Obviously, we do a lot of things online. And I was like, hey, you come in, show the agency how to do Turo. Maybe we can do that for some of the clients that we run their Amazon stores and things like that. And he was kind of open to it. So if you do run a side hustle, leave it down in the comments. I'll reach out to you and see if we can kind of get something going. Because it just seems like there are a billion ways to make money now. And
Too
you
many.
just got to find the most efficient one and the most scalable because we're trying to make a lot of it. So
Yeah, you got to kind of put the right skills that you currently have into the side hustle, and then kind of like go from there. If you don't have like any, then you got to start with something, right? Something basic that can kind of help you go up and going. Like Facebook Marketplace. I mean, Facebook Marketplace drop shipping. That's a pretty good one. Hey,
easy money.
Easy money. Easy money. You don't really got to
Then
do
it
much.
also, it really just depends on what you're interested in too, which kind of can hinder most people. Because if you're not a person that's okay with literally sitting behind a computer all day and not seeing the sun, e-commerce is kind of a hard space to be in because that's literally all you're doing. It
That's
is.
facts.
It can be a very lonely thing with e-commerce, like especially starting out. If you don't know, Percy is one of my first clients that I actually brought on for his Facebook dropshipping store. And
Right.
Percy didn't know this, but when I was running his store, it was 6 hours a day picking out products, making sure they were sent out, making sure my VAs were emailing customers back, they were doing customer service, and it was literally me just sitting behind a computer all day, making sure that his store was profitable and running, while he was out there living his life and having fun. So
you already know.
but then on the flip side, like sales is also something that some people just hate being on the phone. Some people really hate cold calls. They hate hearing no. So you kind of just have to figure out, what you enjoy doing and trying to find a way to fit that into your side hustle. The worst thing you can do is go to a job for 8 hours a day, get off and say, oh, now I have to do something I still don't like to make more money. Like it just doesn't work and you get burnt out pretty quickly, in my opinion. So
No, that's facts. That's 100% a fact. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing it, as far as just showing up to something that you already hate, like you said, and then showing up again to something you gotta hate just to make a little bit more money. And money does solve a lot of problems, but I ain't gonna say it ain't everything because we need it. It's definitely needed.
About 98% of them, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, 100%. So you got to find something, that you kind of sort of like. And if you don't know that, I don't think
everything.
yeah, you got to try. And if, if you can't, you don't. You got to figure it out, man. You got to figure something. And you're not just going to like everything, you're not going to like every aspect of a certain skill. You're not going to like it all. but you got to find something in it that's good that you kind of enjoy.
I think that's why it's also so interesting to figure out who's in your social circle, because there are people that you have in your circle right now that are great in sales, but they are terrible in everything else. Can't make a website, can't find leads, don't even know how to use Google to find the right people. But if you can put your heads together, then you could really build something that's pretty amazing. And that's essentially what we did here. Like I said, I don't get me wrong, I could have done sales, but I'm like, man, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm more of the e-commerce. I like being behind the screen. I like building out back ends and code. And Percy likes doing sales. So I was like, hey, just because I could have done sales, Percy might enjoy it more. He might be better at it than me. So let's split up our time so we're both doing something that we know we're like equally good at, so we can grow even faster. And same thing with John. Man, I hate everything about graphic design. I don't even make my logos or my thumbnails for YouTube. And I was like, John, if you could just make some subtitles, baby, we got it going. And it's as simple as that. Just figuring out what you're good at and got to interact with your circle, because money is abundant. There's money everywhere. So you can't be afraid to go into business with some of your friends or some people that you may know, because in the grand scheme, you're just all going to make a lot of money, or at least that's the goal anyway. So it makes it kind of fun.
Yeah, gotta be careful with going to business with the friends, but just gotta have the right system.
Ones, that's all that matters.
That is it. Picking the right ones. I had a business venture, or I still currently have a business venture with one of my best friends. It's still good. We kind of have to separate a little bit, but we're still friends.
That's all that matters, man. Super good. So John,
you
because I
still
know
bored.
we looked at two different softwares. So Shotcut and CapCut is the two that we're kind of be using to edit videos and doing things like that.
Right.
What do you think is going to be the toughest thing just about making, the content itself? Do you think it's just going to be the time that it takes? Because essentially you have to watch a video 10 minutes to be like, okay, where exactly do I cut it up? And then you actually have to go cut it up. So it's like you might spend 20 minutes to cut up a few clips on a 10-minute video. So you think it's just like the time that it takes might be the most difficult?
To be honest, I don't think the time would be the most difficult part. I think the kind of the most difficult is just finding the right spot to clip it. So that way you're getting the correct information, and as well as you're getting all of the information in. So you want to just make sure it's cut correctly so that one, you're getting all the information, two, it's understandable as well. So that's probably going to be the most difficult part. But other than that, I feel like the time is not going to really be that much of a factor. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time, like you said, 20 minutes on a 10-minute video, but in essence, it's just making sure you get all the information. So
I think another big thing is when it comes to content, there's a very fine line between making just a vast amount of quantity of content and then actually caring about what your quality is in that content. Because I mean, I think we all know we could sit down and hound out 20, 30, 40 YouTube videos in a day, but the more we make, the quality will definitely go down if we're trying to spit out that many. So it's kind of just understanding how many can we make to make the quality as good as possible, but knowing that one video a year is not going to get it done. So just figuring out what time frame it actually takes to do that. And I understand what you're saying, John, in terms of the actual information in the videos, because I know I watch TikTok sometimes and I'm like, they never finish the point. Like, why did I even watch this? Like, I just wasted
right.
10 seconds of my life over here. So
Yep.
I completely get that. So Percy, when it comes to the actual sales script itself, do you think the ones you have currently is the ones you're going to stick with for a little bit? Or do you think depending on the niches, like you're actually trying to sell in, you might have to change it up depending on the niches, or how's that work, you think?
I think so. I mean, you have to kind of use the language of your potential prospect. So if you have to adjust a few words, I wouldn't say all of it. You
Right.
still have a main outline. You just kind of want to change a couple words depending on like the industry you're selling in. You kind of want to keep it in the same language, if you know what I'm saying. Just
Yeah,
because that kind of helps
how are
you.
you finding that language before? So are you kind of looking that language up beforehand, or are you doing a few cold calls and saying, hey, I noticed they said this, let me add this into my next cold call, or whatever the case might be?
Yeah, I mean, always it's better to try and error is better. You don't want to always just kind of do all this research and then not actually have some action. So you actually want to call, get a little feel for how they say things, as far as their language, but also leads are leads. So the conversation's almost still the same. You know what I mean? No matter, it always helps to have that niche language that they're talking about. But at the end of the day, leads are leads, and you can kind of just go with a basic generic outline. It just depends. You really want to get down to like fine tuning when you're really honing down on your skills. Get the basics first, and then it's really advanced skills whenever you start using their own language. You know what I mean? So just baby steps as far as that.
I did notice one thing about how you hook the potential or the prospect, I guess, potential client, was the fact that you spoke Spanish. So understanding that having common ground with your potential client is really important, because obviously if you didn't speak Spanish, it might have made that conversation a lot more difficult. But because you were able to open him up and say, hey, I understand you because, we speak similar language, it made it really easy. But how do you think that kind of guided the conversation, I guess?
It's just that commonality, right? Like it was off rip. Like I just heard the accent, and I was like, "Oh, you speak Spanish?" He's like, "Yeah, sí, sí, sí." And I'm like, "Ah, bueno." And then I just went into like the whole thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't even. It was kind of hard to switch the script because my Spanish is good, but like in
It's not
business,
a direct like
it's not.
translation.
No, it's like your mind has to switch a little bit, and it takes
Right.
a second. There's like some lag time in there.
Yes.
But that right there, it just instantly makes you more trustworthy. You have a connection immediately, and you can kind of go from there and leverage that. You can kind of be more friendly. I kind of went off script and just thinking, oh, just kind of started talking to him no more normal, and that's kind of what you want to do too. You don't want to be like this stiff dude on the phone. You kind of want to let things kind of flow. Ask a couple basic questions. I asked him where he's from to kind of get a little more connection there, a little more rapport, and then it just seemed like you kind of want to make it seem like you're talking to a friend versus you're talking to somebody you're trying to sell to. You don't want people to, you want to be good to the point where you don't feel like people are being sold.
Right.
If you feel like you're being sold, you're not doing a very good job
Not
at
doing the
selling.
job right.
Yeah, exactly.
And then John, I know one like interesting thing about social media is that it's always changing. So I guess one big thing when it comes to actually making content is finding what exactly, is trending on social media. Because right now, and I know Percy sees it because I know your timeline looks like mine, it's the Alex Hormozy captions, like on everything. Like it seems like every entrepreneur, every business owner that's really trying to scale and grow is specifically using those captions. But how do you think, or what do you think the easiest way to kind of find out what's trending on social media to make the content kind of match, what's trending? Do you think it's just by going through the trending pages and things like that, or what are you kind of thinking? Like, how do you find that?
Yeah. I would say definitely through the trending pages, of course. But I also you got to kind of connect with other people outside of your circle, because like you said, some people may have similar timelines to, and other people have different timelines. So it's kind of venturing out, seeing what other people see, kind of seeing what they're into. Um, so that way you can kind of get a general picture of what's kind of trending and what's not very popular at the time, or or something that's up and coming. So again, it's just kind of venturing outside of what you normally see, so that way you can kind of get the whole picture of what's trending.
I found one of the easiest ways to do that, and I challenge everybody to do that. It's very interesting if you do open an incognito window and just go to YouTube and just see what YouTube suggests people that have never been on the platform before, because there's some crazy stuff that I've never seen before. Obviously, because the only thing that pops up on my timeline is how to make money and how to build bigger trap muscles.